Hello, subscribers. Today we're going to do a game between Alexei Shirov and Atalik. This was played in the year 2003 for the European Team Championship. And, okay, so Alexei Shirov started off with e4, and Atalik responded with the French defense of e6, d4, d5, knight to c3, bishop to b4, looks like a winner, e5, knight to e7 was played, a3, bishop takes on c3, b takes on c3, and Atalik played b6. Yeah, this is a very interesting variation. Anyway, Shirov played queen g4. Atalik played knight to g6. And taking advantage of that knight on g6, Shirov played h4. Atalik responded to h5, preventing h5. And Shirov played queen to g3. And now, looking back, Shirov would have preferred nowadays to have played queen to d1 because he's already done its job in softening up the queen side. So back to the game. Atalik played the strategic bishop to a6, aiming to exchange light square bishops and get rid of his worst piece and Shirov's potentially best piece. And Shirov played knight to e2, trying to mess up Atalik's plan. Theoretically, the bishop exchange favors black, so he decided to avoid it at any cost, even if the bishop doesn't come out from f1. Anyway, Atalik played rook to h7, and another idea could be queen to d7. Just developing the queen side further. And what could follow is knight to f4, knight takes on f4, bishop takes on f4. Not queen takes on g7 because then I can go back to g6 here. And then after g7's under fire, g6 would be played. Back to the game. While white plays, let's see, bishop to g5, attacking the queen. Now, if white played knight to f4 here, this would be not good in view of knight takes on f4, bishop takes on f4. And if bishop takes on a6, then knight takes on g2, the intermezzo, queen takes at g2, and knight takes on a6. So what would happen is bishop would take on f1, king would take on f1, and black would play knight to c6. And the black knight gets active, and it would not be the case if it had to go and be recapture on a6. Because it would have no good squares to go to on a6. A knight on the rim is dim, so it would have to waste tempos. So back to the game. White played queen to d7, black played queen to d7, and white played queen to f3. Now, this move is interesting. However, it's a little bit dubious. I think it's hard to suggest something, but the alternatives include a4, attempting for this exchange of its weakness, and another idea is queen to e3, just gaining further grip on the dark squares. Now, Atalik didn't really exploit queen to f3. He played queen to a4. It's a very standard move in this sort of position, but A way to exploit it is c5. It's simple, effective, and after knight to g3, bishop takes on f1, king takes on f1, black could play queen b5 check. And he can develop in time. Knight won't have to be on the dim rim. And yeah, this is a good position. And after, say, king to g1, this is a good position. Anyway, back to the game. Knight to g3 was played. And after bishop takes on f1, another possibility could be just taking the c pawn. Not that it truly matters, because it is a doubled pawn and it could be worth the sacrifice, but now black can play bishop takes on a6, knight takes on a6, and castles. And the compensation is in the misplacing of the knight and somewhat misplacing of the queen. And there's an initiative that white holds. So back to the game. Bishop takes on f1, king takes on f1, and now black plays c5, which is a good move. It's an incredible move. And he also saw that after queen takes on c2, knight takes on h5 is unpleasant and complicated. So this is a straightforward choice he had. Although there is the knight to c6 move he has in this, and it's very hard to play, I guess. Maybe both sides, because there's play to be drummed up and advantages on both sides to be used. So anyway, back to the game. Shirov came up with this brilliant idea of, let's see. If you were to think here, what do you think would the best move be? Well, Shirov played knight to f5 here, and it's removing the defender of the d5 square. There are many different variations and complications that this move has created. Now you could have played knight takes on h5, but now knight to c6 is very good for black, and the knight is well placed. Yeah, so knight f5 I think is an incredible move. And here, black played queen c4 check, which is a blunder in hindsight. The correct move was, well, he could have tried e takes on f5, and after queen takes on d5, he can block the rook with knight to c6, and after e6, king to a8, e takes on f7. Whoops. Now, yeah, rook to e1 is not to be chosen because of rook to e8. Just holding things together. And so after e takes on f7, there's a backwards move of knight to h8, which can attack this f7 strong point. And after, if white could also have considered queen to a6 check, king to g1, and queen to c8, rerouting. Then after rook e1, knight c to e7, bishop takes on e7, knight takes on e7, rook takes on e7, king takes e7, king h2, queen c7 check, g3, rook d8, rook e1 check, king f8, and rook e8 check, rook takes on e8, f takes on e8, queen, and this has to be taken. Queen g8 check, king e7, queen takes h7 wins. So this variation with queen h6 check, although tricky, it is to be avoided. So back to knight h8. What would follow is queen d6 check, king takes f7, making use of, so that knight is now not well placed. d5 would be played, And after knight to d8, bishop takes on d8, king to g8, queen e6 check, knight f7, bishop g5. White stands better. Back to the game. Another idea could be queen to d7. And this would give black a good game, because after knight d6 check, although strong looking, queen g5, queen g3 would transpose back to the c5 variation. But favorable for black. But knight t6 check would be played, and then king f8, c4, opening the queen side, timing it right, and after knight c6, cd5, knight d4, de6, attacking the queen. Also, this could be considered with queen e4, e takes on d5, queen takes on d5, rook b8. Although this is more unclear. So, yeah. Back to d takes e6. Knight takes f3 could be played. E takes on d7. And knight takes on g5. H takes on g5. Knight takes on e5. And another idea could be rook to d8. Although after the activation of the rook with rook h3, knight takes on e5, rook e1 attacking the knight, rook takes on d7, g6, an incredible idea, rook h6, knight to f5, or you can try rook takes on d7, and then this would follow with rook d3. All those variations are pretty complicated, with rook to d8 and this g6 idea. Back to the game. Rook e1 would be played, and knight would take on d7. And this actually was in Shirov's calculations when he played knight f5. And he thought after rook h3, white would be better. However, after the move g6 here... Wait, whoops, not g6 there. He thought he could try rook h3, that activation this way, but then the solid g6, rook he3, f6, rook e8 check, and rook takes e8, rook takes e8, king g7, rook d8, knight e5, knight e8 check, king f7, knight takes on f6, rook g7. The endgame here is unclear because there's equal in pawns. The knight is well placed for white, but black can hold things together with a rook on that second rank. And so back to the game. Shirov played king to g1, and now e takes on f5 was played. He was thinking that he's prevented Shirov's queen takes on d5 idea, which was prevented. But now queen takes f5 was played. And now he's threatening mate in 1 with queen c8 mate. So knight d7 is forced, and Shirov played e6, blowing open the king. And so during the game, he thought rook h3 was winning as well, and perhaps it could be more sound, although you always have to make sure you can hit the opportunities. And so I think e6 is the strongest move, because that's the only opportunity to open the game favorably. So now, in this variation, knight df8 could be played, rook f3, attacking f7, knight h8, and that's the best he could come up with white. And in this variation, he can run into a forced draw with e6, and after f6, rook e1, C takes on d4. Or he could try knight f to g6. And after e7, c takes on d4. In any case, this position is going to give white some great pressure in the center. And so after, e7, knight f g6, bishop to f4, threatening rook to g3, and queen c6 is good defense. Rook g3, you can hold it with king f7. If queen d7, then trying to exchange queens, then rook e6 wins. Because if king f7, then rook takes on f6. So king f7, c takes on d4, threatening rook c3, knight takes on f4, queen takes on h7, knight hg6, rook g to e3, holding the balance of if he tries to trap the queen. Rook to e8. If queen takes on h5, I think. Oh yeah, wait, never mind. No. Okay, anyway. No, that's out of the wrong analysis. Anyway, so rook e8, g3, knight h3 check, king g2, knight takes on f2, king takes on f2. Queen h5 is here, thinking there's some good attacking, but knight e4 is a great outpost, defending the piece and solidifying. So queen takes on c2 here, king g1, queen f5, and rook f1, queen g4, and rook ef3. And in this position, black can force the draw with knight to f4. And now rook takes on f4 follows, queen takes on g3, king h1, queen h3. And this is a draw by repetition. Back to the game. In Shirov's perfect e6 route, which deserves an exclamation point, Atalik played knight to f6. And now Shirov, instead of just taking on there, which would be probably okay, he plays the strongest move, rook to e1. And now that the knights are, decently placed together, they can't really defend the king as in before in blockading the attacking squares. And Atalik played queen takes on c3. It's always hard to find the best move because it looks like the best move with attacking the rook, but the most stubborn move is knight to f8. And now Shirov would have to come up with his favorite developing of rook to h3. Another idea is exchanging this and attacking the king like this. But there is some backwards defense that can happen. And this is very unclear. And so back to the main line of his strongest move calculations. Black's best here is c takes on d4 after rook h3. And now if he tries to tries to hold things with king e7 here, then e takes on f7, king takes on f7, rook f3 wins immediately. And so c takes on d4, bishop takes on f6, and yeah, if he tried his rook g3 here, Then king e7 is strong, and now after e takes and king takes, black is defending. Back to the game. So g takes on f6, and now instead of taking here and getting simply good compensation, he can force things and probably win with this e7. And yeah, if queen takes here, then this would follow with f takes on e6, rook takes on e6. This is unclear. Could be a draw. Back to the game. So knight to g6, and now queen takes on f6. And this is threatening rook g3, which would be destroying defensive h8 or f8, depending on the way it's taken. So this is pretty decisive, and this is the best defense. I think if we do, let's see, maybe we can play a waiting move. Like, let's say we try this. I think rook g3 is the strongest here. Let's see. Yeah, rook g3's. You can try rook c8 here, maybe. Rook takes and f takes. And you don't need to go down there and simply win, but you can take here and just take like this, keeping that extra pawn. And so, yeah, that was decisive. And so now queen f5 in this best position, king e8, rook g3, queen c6 defending, giving it an extra piece to take, so there's no flaws. But now there's the brilliant c4. So now if d takes on c4, if queen takes on c4, then there's the same sort of problems as before, I think. And if queen d6, then there follows c takes on d5, rook h8, rook f3, rook h7, and queen g5, threatening rook f6, and there's no good defense to it. Back to this analysis. Rook takes on g6, and now f takes on g6 must be played, I think. I think after queen takes, this is not good because of the check here, and this is mate. So thank goodness for that c4. That is actually a deep clearance move of, yeah, so I think this is an incredible move, the clearance move, c4, because it opens up that queen b5 check. So now queen f8 check, king d7, and now the queening, and this is more than decisive. The attack is just too strong. This rook is offsides of the importance of the board. Anyway, back to the game. E takes on f7 was played. King takes on s7. Shirov played queen e6. Atalik played king f8. And now his brilliant rook h3, which he's calculated in many of his variations of the game. Queen takes d4 was played. And now building up on the king with rook f3 was played. Atalik tried knight takes on h4. Another idea he could have tried is queen to g4 to exchange queens maybe. But queen takes on d5, attacking the rook. Rook e8. And queen d6 check. Rook e7. Rook takes on e7. Knight takes on e7. Rook e3. Queen d7. Queen takes on d7, knight takes on d7, and rook takes on e7 wins. There's so much pressure. This rook is out of the game. So it's a great endgame, even if black goes for this. Back to the game. White played rook to f4. Now black played queen to c3, making an attacking contact with the e1. But now Shirov played bishop takes on h4. And Atalik played rook to h6 defending. Now, yeah, he's struggling to defend, but I mean, it's hard to find the best defense, and I mean, you have to give up some material. So yeah, this I think was a good move to be considered. Catching contact. And he's activated that rook, which has been a problem in many of the defensive variations. So I think Atalik is pretty brilliant in his defense. Now rook e5 is played by Shirov, just harvesting that territory. And Atalik played queen d2, probing the rook. But now Shirov calculated a forcing knockout blow with bishop takes on f6. And here Atalik resigned, but the best moves would be queen c1 check, rook to e1, and, well, I guess giving up the queen, maybe. And this position is not to be considered. It's just hard to hold. But let's see if we can find the mate here. So yeah, Shirov played this. Now let's play rook takes, or no, let's play queen takes on here and see the variations from here. So e7 and g7. And likewise, there is also this to be considered. Rook takes on f6. Well, in this variation, I think that might just the simple this at least is mating. It's probably more decisive if you went for this is probably just as decisive, maybe, but this is at least mate. Yeah, you can give up the queen if needed in my variation, the practical one. Yeah. So I think this was a good game, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing about some feedback. Thanks very much.